to another episode of Lost Like Mike. I am your host, Mike Gonzalez. It's a Better Late Than Never episode coming out on Monday instead of Sunday, my normal day. I apologize for it being late. Everything about my Sunday got out of hand. I had to do a whole bunch of catching up yard work and trying to get rid of things. It was kind of fun though. I accumulated some lawn equipment, on this. If you happen to listen to recent episodes, which by the way, thank you for visiting. Thank you for saying hi, coming by and listening for a bit. Thank you for subscribing, for hitting the like button or commenting or whatever people do. Thank you for that. And for sending messages at lostlikemike@gmail.com. I'm kind of discombobulated, just all over the place today. I'm sort of painted in a corner in my office area. I've got you see like musical equipment if you're seeing on YouTube, different things. I haven't really have a place to set up yet. I'm still in flux, kind of trying to figure things out. But I had to record now because I was supposed to record on Sunday night, even though things got out of hand all day. After my show, I get home about 10 o'clock at night. I was so exhausted from the day that I just knocked out, sort of dreaming about the show. I didn't get to work on it. But the show on my dream was pretty cool, but that doesn't really constitute, doesn't translate. Yeah, but I was testing out a bunch of lawn equipment that I've been getting at garage sales and people throwing away lawn equipment. And I admit I do have a problem. I've been accumulating too much. But one of the things was, the good news part of it was that everything that I tested worked. All the equipment that I bought or that I found was all good stuff. I don't know, lucked out, I guess. But I had to find a place to store it all in the shed, and it was kind of gross. And anyway. And then, it's one of these things where I started out where I just wanted to do it right. It's the price you pay for wanting to do something correctly. Like I said, I'm just going to work a little bit on the yard, but there's these old guys that talk about their yards at where I work, and they were talking about getting rid of your weeds and doing all this different kind of stuff during the fall. And so I said to myself, well, I'm going to work on the yard. I'm going to try to pull up a bunch of any weeds, and I'm going to try to do it right. You know what I mean? And there I am, like, trying my best to do this. And time it starts getting away from me, and the sun starts beating down. And it just turned into too large of a project for a Sunday morning. Next thing you know, I'm trimming trees and digging out stumps, and just ridiculous. I don't know, where it all came from, but and of course, then I go do my show, and I haven't been feeling too great, but I was hopeful. So, because I had a good show on Saturday. But anyway, so here I am on Monday night, trying to record an episode. It reminds me of when I was in college, this past time when I graduated. I was juggling a full-time job, anywhere between 40 and 50 hours a week, and plus doing performances a couple nights a week, and spending time with my family, my little girl, and my son, and my wife, and I remember like when there would be homework or like assignments, I would schedule my time to do the assignment. And if I didn't do the homework or whatever it was during that window, then I'd be screwed. So I would have to be, there was times where I was doing, 15 minutes of studying during a break, in between sets at a show. I remember one time I was typing up on a laptop notes for a paper that I was writing, and then I'd have to jump back up and sing, and but that's how that's how it went. If you were wanting to do it, you just have to. And one of the things that I remember talking to a friend of mine about doing a podcast or recording my thoughts in this type of platform was consistency, and always putting out when you say you're going to put it out, or and kind of pushing yourself to continue to do it, especially when you're doing a show about depression and anxiety and your own battles with consistency. It's sort of it's a bit of a catch-22, right? Or like a paradox, or at least Alanis Morissette's version of ironic. It's one of those things where it's like I battle the very things that I'm wanting to talk about to get this show out. I went to talk to my doctor today about getting off of some meds, and she was saying about going to my ear, nose, and throat doctor, how I haven't done that. But she was also saying that in order to get off of these medicines, like what happened? Like, aren't you supposed to lose all this weight? Like, what's the deal? Like, and if you ever talk to somebody that wants to do something, but they're battling these excuses, and you should talk to somebody like that. If you're yourself wanting to do something and you battle your own excuses, because it like, to me anyway, it amplifies those, when you hear the BS coming out of somebody else. Well, I would, but it's just I've got to start when I blah, blah, whatever it is. And then you hear yourself in them, and it's like, is that what I sound like? When, and here's the thing. I can say I would just finish talking to the doctor, tell him, I have to lose weight. I walk in the door and then I have a cookie, right? I tell my wife, hey, I'm not eating dinner with you. But then I was like, I wanted to have dinner with my son, who got off work late, and I didn't get to do it. And then she said, well, you were going to have dinner with him. You should have dinner with me, or if you're still going to have dinner. So there I am having dinner, having more than I should have had for dinner, and then feeling like I'm eating more than I would have eaten if I just never said anything about a diet or eating right or getting myself together. It's frustrating that, but I'm kind of tired of incentivizing myself. I've got all the reasons to do it and none to not. First of all, and most importantly, my health. But that's not what's going to get you to do it, right? I've started doing it for all sorts of reasons. I remember hearing my son's mom call me fat, and I don't even know if she actually called me fat. Maybe one day I just said to myself, put those words in her mouth coming at me, and I was like, that's it. lost like 40 pounds after that. And it was just like a killer for like the longest, you know. But so maybe that's the incentive. I thought, well, my some sort of high school reunion is coming up. I don't go to them, by the way. I've got problems. I don't know why I can't go to them. But if I did, that would be an incentive. Or seeing an ex-girlfriend or something, like, and not because of like, for any other reason than, you know, people idealize the people that they've known in the past, and then you see them and then you're like, oof, you know, like, so that's the kind of thing of seeing like an old friend or, you know, that kind of thing. These are just incentives. I'm just chatting. I'm just talking about these things. But yeah, so that's why I'm here, stuck here in amongst like drums and, you know, workout equipment. I'm just sort of sitting in a chair and catching up with you guys for a little bit. So I didn't want to go without doing an episode this week, and if I don't do it now, then I won't do it. Or next thing you know, it'll be Wednesday, or, you know what I mean? Nothing like putting it out on a Thursday night and then doing another one on Sunday. It's like, what's the point? So I'll just check in with everybody and see how everybody's doing. I was hanging out in the living room the other day, and living room, I mean, it's just, you know, the door, the room closest to the door. And my wife says, oh my God, the neighbor across the street just left his dog up, you know. And I like, so, like, I don't understand. What are you telling me this for? And she's like, no. He goes outside with a young dog and this geriatric old dog that's like this little chihuahua that's like visibly old. And I don't know if you've ever had dogs or animals to when you can physically tell that they're senior dogs when they're old. That means that they're superhero old. Like, you know, probably you're going to walk inside and then be put down because they're so old. But this dog is really old. I don't even care. I don't know these dogs. I've never seen him. But she has this thing about knowing what's going on in the neighborhood. Fine, whatever. So apparently the neighbor went inside, the young dog scampered in, and then the senior dog sort of aimlessly started looking around like it didn't know what was going on. Like, was I going somewhere? Like the dog just sort of started aimlessly wandering. So then she tells me, hey, you need to go across the street and knock on the neighbor's door and let him know that he forgot his dog outside. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I hardly talk to my neighbors. I mean, not that I'm not sociable, but I'm not sociable. I mean, in that way, I'm awkward. I have a hard time, okay? So she's like, you need to do it because, like, you know, whatever, like maybe she's in comfortable clothes. I don't know what excuse she gave. But there I am, the dumbass. I put on my shoes and I was like, okay, I'll be the good neighbor. And I go over, and of course, I look, and I'm like, you okay, puppy? And this like dog's like, huh? Like, what? I don't understand. And like, you know, walking into walls and like just being old. And I was like, come on, let's go over to the door. And I ring the ring bell, and a voice comes on, and it's like, hello? And I was like, yeah, I'm your neighbor from across the street, and I just want to let you know that your dog. And he was like, what about it? I'm like, at that point, it's like, I realized, I don't care about your dog, and you obviously don't care like 10 times less than I do. And I was like, no, it's like this old, your dog is out front, Yeah, what about it? Okay. I was like, nothing. I guess, you know, it's aimlessly walking. You know what? Forget it. It's cool. And I'll tell you what, that the man's house could be burning down and I wouldn't knock on his door. You know what I'm saying? Somebody could be breaking into his vehicle. I would not let him know. I would not let him know. I wouldn't even call the police for him because I wouldn't want the police to bother him and ring his doorbell. Like, that's how, like, turned off this bozo made me feel. Because clearly the dog can't find his own tail and is wandering into the street and didn't know which way from what. But you know what? That's what I'm saying. No good deed goes unpunished, this fool. Ugh. I never like being in that position, right? Because I would never have gone over and done that had my wife not demanded that I went over and did that. You see what I'm saying? Like the story I told a few episodes ago about having to go complain at that restaurant. I never would have done that. I mean, I would have slammed the thing and said, "Give me my money back. I don't want your company to have my money." And then I would have taken my money and I would have said, you know, whatever. But I would never have said, "Remake my stuff" and all that. I would never have. I hate being put in those positions. So that's strike two. If it happens again, I'm not going to do it anymore. This just frustrates the heck out of me. Anyway. Whew. That's something so stupid. And that probably happened like several days ago. Why I'm even still thinking about it is beyond me. I think it's symptomatic of a larger problem. But whatever. So the other day there was an ad and it said $10 cymbals and cymbal stands. And I've been looking to piece some stuff together to get my drum set at least playable, which we'll get into that in a minute. But you know what? I wonder if I told this story already. It's going to upset me if it did. But you know what? It ties into another story that leads to a greater point. So I apologize if you've heard this story before. It is what it is. Oh, I might have, but let's just go with it. So I drive to the neighboring town. I buy the cymbals, $10. The second he brought them out, I knew they were cheap. I say cheap. I wouldn't buy them. If I would have went into a music store, I never would have bought them. Even if they were $10, I wouldn't have bought them. But I drove to a neighboring town. I woke the fool up like at 8 in the morning. So I bought them. I think I know. I told the story because I made a point about how I got the full value out of these $10 cymbals. Because my daughter ended up playing with them all day and drawing with marker on them and like having a good old time, you know. With them. And it got me thinking about like the real value of things, right? There was one piece that I needed off of them, and it was worth more than $10. So no big deal, right? But the point being is that the guy opened the door. I saw that they were garbage, and I was compelled to still hand the man my money because of the inconvenience of waking him up at 8 in the morning, of setting aside that time to see me. And I had already committed by driving to another town, right? So flash forward a couple of days later, and then I see this drum set, really inexpensive drum set, ridiculously inexpensive. But do I need another drum set? No, I don't. But I needed certain parts of the drum set, like I needed cymbal stands um, and what was it, the different hardware and stuff, which was going to be more expensive than the cost of the drum set, right? But still, and I was also thinking that the drum set kind of seemed smaller, so it might be more, it might be better suited for the room that I'm wanting to set the drums in, right? Okay. But I messaged him half-heartedly, just saying, "Hey, you still got these?" And I get a message right away. "Yes, you're interested?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Well, what's a good day? Let's set this up right now." And I'm like, "I can be there in an hour." And they're like, "Let's go." All right. So I'm driving out to meet these people at a grocery store. This person, I should say. And I was coaching myself the whole drive there. "Look, man, if you see this drum set and it's not what you're about, just tell them thanks, but no thanks. Appreciate it, right?" Meanwhile, my phone's dinging and I'm not looking at it because I'm concentrating on telling the guy no if I need to tell him. Anyway. And, so I get the phone out and say, what is this person messaging me? And he says, couldn't get my minivan or something like that. I couldn't get my minivan. So my wife and I are bringing 2 vehicles to meet you. So this person was loading everything up in multiple vehicles to meet me at the grocery store to show me these drums. So then I said, well, now I have to buy them, right? And I'm like, which is not the right attitude. And I was like, please let me like these drums because I'm already like not having it, okay? So I get to this grocery store, and I mean, he brought the kids, he brought everybody in 2 different vehicles. They start taking the pieces of the drums and setting them outside. I don't know what they thought they were going to set it up or something, but I'm like, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, again, I'm not sure that I want this. And it was nighttime, right? And all of them had these faces on them like, please buy this, please buy this. I remember the mom especially, she kind of would set like it comes with these sticks that go in, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let's load it up. And I bought it. And again, it goes back to, did you really want it? Now, here's the thing. I've since set the drum set up. It's a smaller kit, and it fits in the room really nicely. And the cymbals, they're, I could sell the cymbals and get back what I paid for the drum set, right? And my daughter like hopped on the drums and was like banging on them and getting all excited about playing drums. And I don't know, it was not a bad purchase in the end because, I'll make back the money. And look, here's the thing. The other day, I was at a garage sale, and they had this little tape deck with a stereo system, whatever. And it didn't have a plug for the back. So the lady was like, I don't know how much it's worth. I don't even know if it works. And I was like, I'll give you a couple bucks for it, right? Knowing full well that the odds were it was not going to work, right? But I'm a gambler in terms of like, I like I like taking that chance, right? I bought the thing. I had a wire at the house to plug it in. One speaker would work, then the other wouldn't work, and then they both kind of sounded wonky. And the tape deck didn't work at all. It was trash, right? I only paid a couple bucks for it, but it went right in the garbage. The recycle bin or whatever. Well, the garbage. But, maybe somebody could have jacked with it and messed with the volume knobs and figured it all out. Not me, but the point was that, no harm, no foul. I've bought lottery tickets, knowing full well that the odds were against me. That, right after a guy wins big, and then I'll buy the next one. Well, I just want to, But, inevitably that's what that looks like. If you're going to, sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. As long as you're having fun, I say, right? But anyway, I was kind of disappointed in the fact that I couldn't just say no, right? And that's what I really wanted to do. And I think even though it works out, somehow life is trying to teach you that, it's not always going to work out. But more importantly, if you don't want something, then you need to speak up, So that's all leading up to the fact that the other day, in which I need to get off these sites, or at least I need to limit the amount that I'm on these stupid for sale sites. But there was a 5-string bass guitar, right? And I thought, well, it's got 5 strings. It must be like worth more than a 4-string, right? I'm ashamed to say that was a legitimate, real thought that went through my mind. But the guy wanted $100 for this 5-string bass. And you may be saying to yourself, wow, that sounds like a really good deal for a 5-string bass, because, even if it's a cheap 4-string bass, it's usually like $100. So that would be like a super cheap. Anyway, I digress. The thing about this 5-string bass was that the way that he had the picture angled, the body looked really nice, the neck looked nice, but I couldn't see the name of the bass on the headstock. It was kind of like this weird symbol. But a trend that's been happening to me more often than not is that I hesitate. I start researching something before I say, hey, yo, I'm interested. Can I buy it? By the time I research it and say, oh man, this is a really good deal, I come back and it's already sold. So in my mind, I said, man, I got it. So I was like, I'm interested. I'd like to find out more about this, I'd like to come see it or whatever. I don't know how I phrased it. The guy says, cool, I'm on my way to church, but maybe we can meet up later, something like that. And then I'm like, dude, he's going to go to church. So maybe that means he's not a bad guy. So, okay. So I started going hard and researching, trying to find that symbol to find out what kind of bass it was. And here's the thing. I go on Google, 5-string bass. It starts saying all these different bass brands, 5-string bass, $1,000, $500, $600, $900. And I'm like thinking, jackpot, dude, this is going to be great. Like, I'm going to buy a $100 5-string bass. It's going to be worth like, who knows how much, right? But I can't find that symbol. And I'm like, the one that had like not a similar symbol at all, but it was a symbol, was that Spectre or something like that. But it was a very expensive 5-string bass. Okay. So I said, why don't you just ask the guy? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm afraid to ask him. I don't know why, because I already said I was going to buy it. And how is it going to look for somebody who's like, hey, I'm buying this bass. Oh, by the way, what brand was it? But I had to just bite it and say, listen, like, could you send me over any brand information that you have so I could, do my due diligence? And the guy said some weird ass name. But right before he did that, I typed in the 5-string bass, but then I said cheap, right? As a tagline or something in there, in the search, as a search word. And it brought up these Amazon 5-string bass guitars that were like $89.99 or like $100. And then I was like, snap. What if I'm getting duped? And so then I was like, hey man, can you just send me whatever brand information you can? And he's like, he says, it's this brand, I think. And I was like, what do you mean you think? Like, shouldn't you know what, unless, you stole it, you church guy? So anyway, I finally found the bass, and it's like used, it's like $100. New, it's like 130 or something like that. It's really stupid. But then I said, am I really still gonna meet this guy? Because if I meet him, I'm gonna probably buy it, even though I don't want it. Just kidding. So what I did was I messaged him back and I said, hey, I'm gonna have to withdraw my offer. I'm no longer interested. Like I'm tapping out. Like, no, thank you. And he was like, no problem. Like 15 minutes later, he sold it to somebody else. It was a done deal. But like, I was very proud of myself for, as stupid as that sounds, I was very proud of myself for canceling that order. Like, I don't know. It's so hard for me to do that, but I'm in the wrong game if I'm going to be wanting to buy stuff for people. And if I can't, I want to be buying all this cheap crap that I don't want if I can't say no. Can you imagine? I'm interested in this. Wait, I don't really. Here's my money. Take it. Thank you. More garbage. Ridiculous. So I bought this cymbal shining Brasso, like cleaning. And I realized, or remembered rather, kind of a little both, why I wanted to do it. I remember when I was in high school and my brother was sitting at this table and he was shining and shining and shining these cymbals and using that Brasso, which, by the way, it smells way more chemically than it did when I remember it, because I did not remember that I started using it the other night and I had to like ventilate the room because it was like so strong. But I remember sitting there and he was, really taking pride in shining these cymbals. And that memory always stuck with me. I always, so these cymbals that I'm fixing to sell, and the ones that I bought that I'm going to use for my own use, I wanted to shine, so I started working on them the other night. And very oddly satisfying. I'm telling you, it may just be me, but restoring something that was, rough around the edges and not looking so good, but then really taking it apart and cleaning it, putting it back together. It's just this weird, oddly satisfying thing. And if my wife says I'm addicted to buying things, I think if I'm addicted to anything right now, it's that feeling of taking something that was worthless and restoring it to being something that's like good. It's strange, but I love that feeling. I mean, I like getting good deals on stuff, but it's not as romantic as cleaning and polishing and refurbishing things that had no life and now can have life again. You know, but committing to that it's a lot, especially when you sort of start stockpiling all of these broken toys in a central area, and then you can't use the things that you bought for the purpose that they are. It's kind of like maybe you've lost sight of like what you're really wanting to do. I don't know. Maybe not. I was trying to read my writing on the wall. Different things that I wanted to talk about, but maybe I should write on the wall, like be legible, like as a project, right? Although I'm looking at, I've never sat at this spot. We have some wall hangers where I hang guitars on, like you can see a couple behind me right here. If you're watching on YouTube, if not, that was completely waste of time for you listeners, audio listeners. But anyway, I just noticed that one of my wall hanging things is like half out. So, and it's the one that my wife installed. So now that's another notch on my ability to wear a tool belt, because mine is nice and secure and well put in the wall. Okay, so real quick, I'm going to say this and then we'll jump back to the story. If you've ever had the wrong word for something and thought it was the correct word all your life, okay, for all my life, I called the anchors that go into the wall. Let me back up by saying, if you ever installed a hanger or a picture frame or something on the wall, sometimes there are these plastic or sometimes metal anchors that you drill into the wall before you put the screw inside that anchors it helps stabilize it. Okay. All my life, I don't know where I heard it. I don't know if it was some sort of Mandela effect, alternate dimension, or what they call it, some far off galaxy, but I've always called them mollies. So much so that I would be in hardware stores, and when nobody would know what I was talking about, I just thought I wasn't describing it right. And I was working with people, it might have been but anyway, I was pointing at it and I said, well, what do you call that then? That's a damn molly that you have in your hand there. And they said, what, a wall anchor? And I said, it's a molly. Anyway, that's a hard left tangent for y'all right there, with absolutely no purpose to the rest of the night stories. But I don't know where I heard it, but it'll always be a molly to me. Okay. Anyway, so the other day, I was in my daughter's playroom. She has like this mini chandelier looking thing. Listen, I don't know why that light fixture's in there. When we hired this individual to paint the room and to sort of finish putting together this room, it was a converted garage that we made into a room. Okay. And they put this chandelier, like a mini chandelier light fixture, in the center of the room. Kind of, it's reminiscent of it gives sort of, it lights up the room, but at certain times of the day, it kind of has that disco ball effect. Anyway, years later, and the light bulb went out. Okay, the first time the light bulb's gone out in that room with that fixture. Okay. But I'm like, how hard could it be? It's a light fixture. I can figure this out. So I get some kid chairs. I don't have a step stool. And I'm up there and I take these little mini screws off the top of this light fixture, and presto magic, it comes off, right? And I switched the light bulb and I test it. Beautiful. It works. You know, another little baby notch on my man card. I'm one step closer. I should have put on my tool belt so I could switch out that light bulb just to be an ass. Anyway, so I get back on the step stool and I'm holding this light fixture and these little screws, and I drop one and I go shit. Right? All right. So, but I'm like, I could still attach these other ones first. My daughter comes running around the corner and she says, "What happened? What's going on?" And I said, "Nothing. I'm just working on putting this light." And she goes, "Well, I hear you say shit." And I said, "No, honey, I didn't say that. What I meant was, whatever." And I said, "No, don't say that. Please don't say that." Right? She's 8 years old, and she's I know you say that right now. There's probably like 5-year-olds that cuss like sailors, like just on the street. I mean, kids in these other schools are talking way worse than that. But my 8-year-old doesn't use profanity for whatever reason. But she said it like a pro on that day. 2 things about this. One, my daughter, when she's looking at her YouTube, she calls her Rain, Go Away. Because long story. Bottom line was I used to call YouTube Rain, Go Away because that's where I would show her a little Rain, Go Away song with a little cartoon. So she would say, "Can I see Rain?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, check it out." And it's followed her to this day. But when she's watching her tablet, you could be right in front of her and be like, Harlow. And she wouldn't acknowledge you. Like, she won't even know you're there. I'll get up in the morning and I'll be like, "Good morning, Harlow. Hey, Harlow, good morning." Nothing. Right? So I don't understand how she could even hear me in the first place. Right? Anyway. But 2, to her credit, when I was trying to tell the story to her mom, because I thought it was funny, and I said she came in, she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, she chimed in and said, "I don't know, he was saying like ship or something. I don't know what he was saying." But I'm telling you, she dead-eyed looked me in the eye and said, "Well, you're all like shit. It was cute. But not, I don't want that on me. Maybe she gets her foul language from Blippy or whatever the guy's name is. I don't know. Oh, I did talk about the neighbor across the street or down the block, where we're going to be specific. I am bad though. There's been like 3 times where I'll tell the person, "I want it, I'm coming to get it," and then like they'll just be like, "When can you come?" And I'm like knee deep in a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, but I really want whatever crap is that they're trying to get, for free. Oh, it's so stupid. Anyway, guys, I'm going to call it a day today. It's been a rough one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hitting the like button. Please continue to message me at lostlikemike@gmail.com. and I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.